Episode 5 is with my friend, business partner, Brandon. Um, this was an incredible episode, and it was also really unique for me because I got to, he's written a book called Just Do, and I got to read the book and then pull from points of the book as reference. So I felt like I knew his story and then actually get to talk about it, which is it was so cool. So Brandon's 3 words were balance. He actually had 4. Balance, freedom, be okay, and grace. And this was a powerful one. So Brandon lost his wife. They had 3 young children, and they lost her to breast cancer that eventually spread everywhere. And this interview is so unique in the fact that I guess they saw it coming, and his wife Rachel was so incredibly strong in her faith. And what that can do to grief for those around you, for her, for everyone. That book and their experience is such a testament to Rachel's faith during the entire process. Now, this interview also tackles for Brandon what grief looks like as a widow, as a single parent to 3 children, that he is very transparent of like, I was not the one that did X, Y, and Z, and now I'm doing it, and I'm trying to do it the best that I know how. And it's an incredibly raw and honest look at those moments. And I would also recommend, in addition to listening to this episode, to following him on social media. It's just, there's strength in how he shares his story. There's no doubt about it. We also touch on dating after loss, which is something that is tricky to navigate. Um, and he does so bravely and honestly. Um, I think the largest thing, and I really expressed this to Brandon in my interview, was that there's a moment in his book and that we talked about after where he is talking with his pastor. He knows that it's the end. There was an incredible amount of suffering and she fought so hard. And the pastor took him aside and said, I want you to know it's okay to have the emotion to be relieved. It's like this permission. You can be relieved. It's okay. And I'm reading this and I'm like, I didn't even know that I needed permission. I remember so vividly feeling the relief that the suffering had ended, that this journey was going to be over, that she was going to be in a better place. I had always operated, and I think she did too, knowing that she would not make it out the other side of this. And that COVID was just this silent, fast. Once it struck, that's what so many of us recount. Like, God, it happened so fast. By like day 4, if it was going after your lungs, like your lungs were trashed. And it happens so fast. And it was like when she took that last breath, it was relief. And then I can remember being at somebody's house after it had happened. And one of my friends was like, I was like, worried. I'm glad you're doing okay. Like, I'm glad. And I was like, it was harder to watch her suffer than to lose her because now I know she's with God. And it was this permission. And I never knew what I was looking for, what I was feeling until I read his book. And so if any of you that are listening to this recap need permission to feel like you were a little bit relieved, and don't ever mistake being relieved for like an absence of sadness or an absence of like just absolute devastation. That's not what I'm saying, but it is okay to be relieved. And Brandon needed it, I needed it, and I feel like a lot of other people out there who watched a loved one suffer or incur a slow death. You know, it's okay. You might need that relief, and Brandon is that gift um, of the relief that I didn't need. I didn't know I needed. Again, his book is called Just Do. It is so incredible. His social media is sometimes it cracks me up, and it is so just like the raw moments. Like his daughter's like, "Dad, I think it's time to shave my legs." So he literally is in the tub shaving his legs with his daughter because, Rachel, his wife, is not there for these moments, but he's going to do it, and he's going to do it the best that he can. And he's going to get in there, and these moments are not going to stop. And it's just an incredible, like, kind of look at all of this. And it's a testament to faith through his wife, to his journey. And I think his words, too, just so reflect that balance, freedom, be okay, and to give yourself grace. I always say it's okay to not be okay. It's okay if you need to give yourself grace for the moments before the death and afterwards. We're only human, and there are pre-wired things into our absolute being that affect grief. Like I read this book on the chemical makeup of grief, and they did studies, and they looked at some like animal studies, and they knew that like gorillas or like orangutans, apes, I don't know, one of those monkeys, they know, with their baby, that their baby has perished, and they no longer care for it in the life sustaining ways. They won't try and feed it, they won't try and groom it. But there are connections in the brain where you just can't believe that it's happened. And the monkey still carries around the baby for several days until the brain can rewrite the history of events. And there was just times when I think, well, I walked up to my mom's casket, and somebody who's very reserved, has control over their emotions for all intents and purposes, loses it. And I'm like, how is this real? How is this real? And your brain can't even comprehend some things. So give yourself grace in those moments. And that is something that Brandon touches on and talks about and is real. And I don't think that there is any more of a like realistic look into this lens behind the curtains that you can get. And so, I'm so thankful that Brandon's come into my life and to share his story and to read his book. And now to see he owns a publishing company, to see what they're doing with that on the other side of sharing other people's story. It's incredible, like what's come from this and what he's done in honor of his wife's like legacy. So definitely go back, listen to episode 5 with Brandon. It's a good one.